Our story begins with a man named Michael, a Floridan Coast Guard who receives a distress signal from a boat stranded at sea. After packing his belongings, he leaves to attempt a rescue. The stranded told Michael that he would find the boat 20 kilometers away from the shores of Miami Beach. What he found instead was a heavy storm that put his life in danger. Massive waves hit his boat rapidly, and some almost swept him off into the depths of the sea. The rocking motion produced by the waves altered his balance, making him unable to stand for any longer than 2 seconds. Michael decided to sit in the cockpit with his grip on the wheel and patiently waited for the storm to end. But when it did, his boat had sustained too much damage to continue. The windshield had shattered into fragments, and the engine refused to start. The damages to his boat stranded him at sea, leaving him no choice but to wait for rescue. He fell asleep as he was tired, and when he woke, he had drifted close to an island known to him as Fort Myers. Tall concrete structures as far as the eye can see. The structures surrounded the island like an impenetrable fortress. In 1972, Fort Myers started construction as a mining colony to drain its resources for use on mainland Florida. An offer to work as their electrician intrigued Michael to move there with his wife, Freya. Its facilities provided them a place to stay and eat. Michael would work underground in the mines every day, configuring electrical equipment scheduled for use that day. The equipment he configured would be used by the miners for drilling. Having worked alongside them for so long, Mikhail considered them his second family. They experienced and overcame all kinds of hardships together, which tightened their bond. Mikhail was also paid very well, which made him reluctant to leave. His wife, however, felt imprisoned and isolated. She would argue about the two of them moving back to Florida. Knowing that Michael was hesitant, she left by herself. For Michael, moving away meant he had to quit his job and abandon his friends. He could not simply give it all up as he had already settled in. Michael perceived his wife's actions as unfair, leading him to write heartfelt letters to her, expressing his anger in her leaving. The collection of negative letters she received led her to cut all connections with him. Michael then developed symptoms that Fort Myers was under-equipped to diagnose. He temporarily leaves the island to get tested in Florida. A letter from the doctor stated that his prolonged exposure to coal dust while working underground had resulted in a severe respiratory disease. To his surprise, his test results came back as positive for stage 3B lung cancer, an aggressive cancer that has spread to his lymph nodes. The doctor urged him to start treatment immediately, which meant he had to stay in Florida until he fully recovered. There he found a new job at a place called South Spark Electrical and used all of his income to cover the treatment costs. Michael resided in his Floridan home alone and was trapped in a monotonous cycle of work and sleep that lasted for 7 years. Over the years of recovery, Michael developed depression and went to seek help from a psychiatrist. All of his sessions had no breakthroughs in improving his mental health. A letter from Freya brought a smile to his face. She informed him that she had given birth to a baby girl long ago and that he is the father. He hoped to reunite with her so they could raise the child together. However, his hope diminished when she left out the sender's address, leaving him no clue on how to contact her. He questioned his struggle against the cancer, whether it was worth fighting for a future that held nothing for him. In 1980, the current year, Michael finally enters remission, a state where cancerous symptoms are minimal and could possibly go away. For Michael, he only saw this as an extension of his miserable life. He joined the United States Coast Guard as a change of pace to move out of his home and live at the open sea. A distress call would lead him back to Fort Myers, where he is now. He found the stranded boat docked at the island, which he went over to investigate. Inside, he found a note that read, "They are gone. They are all gone. This isolation is killing me, my paradise. Something has taken it over." From a quick glance, everything seemed to be in a state of pure neglect. Buildings were smashed in by cranes that had been tipped over by the wind. Interior walls were covered in black mold due to heavy moisture in the air. Windows were wet from condensation, blurring everything behind them. Every step was met with a puddle of water where insects bred. Michael was devastated by the conditions. He shed tears as he realized the only life he could come back to was gone. Michael started to receive strange transmissions on his pocket radio, which inclined him to find the source. Past the docked boat, he entered a dark tunnel along the sandy shores, which led him into the mouth of Fortress. The inside was covered in vines and roots of trees that broke through the concrete tunnel. The tunnel seemed like it could collapse at any moment and bury him alive. He found a ladder that led to the surface and hurriedly climbed out of the tunnel. The surface revealed an agonizing sight of a dozen figures wandering aimlessly around him. Some limped, some crawled, and some lay dead on the floor with their bodies in a fetal position. Their skin appeared shriveled and devoid of any hair. Peculiar growths covered them from head to toe. The sight was accompanied by echoes of painful coughs and manic cries. They paid no attention to Michael, who stood frozen in place. It was at that moment when he was contacted by a voice on the radio.
You have come here to find something. Something we have both desired for a long time. Your presence in this place means you are willing to do what I ask of you. If you follow my requests, then I will take you to what it is you desire.
A sense of familiarity struck Michael as he realized it was the same voice that sent the distress call. Michael knew he was being observed but was not sure from where. He looked around and spotted a lighthouse that stood still on a distant cliff. Its height served as a good vantage point to oversee every part of the island. The voice on the radio continued to speak, breaking the silence.
We have been here before, during better times. Madness has intruded these walls. Only we can put a stop to it. On the north side of the island, a mine awaits us. Down there, at the deepest point, is where we need to go.
Seeing as Michael was hesitant to move, the voice spoke once more.
What we will find in that mine is the cause of all of this. Maybe down there, we will also find a solution.
Intrigued, Michael made his way to the mines, with hopes that eliminating the cause would revert the island back to the state it once was.
This place, it was a paradise. They are all gone now. It will never be the same again.
The path to the mines was a straight road from where he stood. He navigated his way through the many wandering figures and did his best to avoid bumping into any one of them. As he approached the mines, they began to follow him and even tried to pull him away. Some stationed themselves at the entrance to block his descent.
They will try to stop you. The Forgotten Ones. They do not belong in this place. If they get in your way, kill them.
Michael shook them off and pushed his way in. He began his descent down to the bottom of the mine by climbing down a series of ladders that seemed to have no end. When he hit rock bottom, he found himself on the front porch of his house, stuffed into the tight confines of the mines. Surprised, he entered the front door to find a chair, and above the chair, a noose. The voice spoke one last time.
There was no other way. Even when we beat the disease, it was still a death sentence. She left us. Everyone left us. The isolation, the loneliness. We don't. I don't have to take it anymore.
Out of all the things he had lost, such as his job, friends, and family, he still had himself. His health had improved, which meant he no longer needed the expensive treatment, easing his financial burden. He could still find new people, new places, and new experiences if he tried. He knew of the good life he once lived, but it did not have to define him entirely. He chose to proceed into the next chapter of his life, no matter how different it was, as it did not have to end for him there. He woke up on the deck of his boat when rescue arrived. The end.